Welcome to part 1 of the summary of the book, Thinking, Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. But before we begin, please subscribe to our channel and like the video. Let's continue and delve into the key highlights from this book. In our minds, a captivating narrative unfolds between two distinct systems, one automatic and the other deliberate. Picture a cinematic storyline with two protagonists. System 1, characterized by impulsive intuition, and System 2, defined by thoughtful calculation. Their dynamic interplay shapes our thoughts, judgments, and actions. System 1 operates intuitively and swiftly, often beyond conscious control. For example, when startled by a loud noise, our attention instinctively shifts towards it, a manifestation of System 1's rapid response, rooted in our evolutionary history. Conversely, System 2 represents conscious decision-making, reasoning, and focused attention. Imagine searching for someone in a crowd. System 2 kicks in as you deliberately concentrate on the task, filtering out distractions and honing in on relevant cues to locate the person efficiently. As we delve deeper, we'll explore how the interaction between these two systems influences our behavior. Part 1. The Lazy Mind. How laziness can lead to errors and affect our intelligence. To witness the workings of the two systems, tackle this renowned bat and ball problem. A bat and ball cost $1.10. The bat is priced $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? The initial response that likely sprang to mind, $0.10, reflects the automatic and intuitive nature of System 1. But it's incorrect. Pause for a moment and reconsider the math. Did you catch your error? The accurate answer is $0.05. What occurred was a swift response from your impulsive System 1, relying on intuition. However, it acted too hastily. Ordinarily, when faced with a challenging scenario, System 1 prompts System 2 to resolve the issue. Yet, in the bat and ball problem, System 1 is deceived. It perceives the problem as simpler than it is and mistakenly believes it can handle it independently. This problem underscores our inherent mental tendency toward laziness. When engaging our brains, we often opt for the least amount of effort, adhering to the law of least effort. As verifying the answer with System 2 demands more energy, our minds tend to forgo it, presuming System 1 will suffice. This inclination toward laziness is regrettable because utilizing System 2 is integral to our intelligence. Studies indicate that practicing System 2 tasks, such as focused and self-control, correlates with higher intelligence scores. The bat and ball problem exemplifies this, as employing System 2 could have prevented this common error. By succumbing to laziness and bypassing System 2, our minds inadvertently constrain the potency of our intelligence. Part 2. Autopilot. Why we are not always in conscious control of our thoughts and actions. Consider what comes to mind when you encounter the fragment SO_P. Likely, nothing much. But what if you first contemplate the word eat? Now, revisiting SO_P, you'd likely complete it as soup. This phenomenon is known as priming. Priming occurs when exposure to a word, concept, or event triggers the recall of related words and concepts. For instance, if you had seen shower instead of eat, you would probably have filled in the letters as soap. This process not only influences our thoughts but also our actions. Just as words and concepts impact the mind, they can affect the body too. An intriguing study found that participants primed with words associated with aging, like Florida and wrinkle, ended up walking at a slower pace. Remarkably, priming occurs unconsciously. We do it without awareness. This phenomenon underscores that despite claims to the contrary, we don't always have conscious control over our actions, judgments, and choices. Instead, we're continually influenced by various social and cultural cues. For example, research by Kathleen Vohs demonstrates that the concept of money primes individualistic behavior. Individuals primed with money-related stimuli, such as images of money, tend to act more independently and resist dependence on others. One implication of Voss's findings is that living in a society saturated with money-related cues could steer behavior away from altruism. Priming, alongside other societal factors, can shape an individual's thoughts, influencing their choices, judgments, and behavior. These, in turn, contribute to the culture, profoundly impacting the society in which we reside. Part 3. Snap judgments. How the mind makes quick choices, even when it lacks enough information to make a rational decision. Imagine meeting someone named Ben at a party and finding him easy to talk to. Later, when asked if you know anyone who might contribute to a charity, you think of Ben, even though all you know about him is his approachability. In essence, you liked one aspect of Ben's character and assumed you would like everything else about him. We often form opinions of people based on limited information. Our tendency to oversimplify things without adequate data often results in judgment errors, known as exaggerated emotional coherence or the halo effect. Positive feelings about Ben's approachability lead you to mentally place a halo on him, despite knowing little else about him. But our minds also take shortcuts in other ways when making judgments. Confirmation bias, for example, is the inclination to agree with information that aligns with our existing beliefs and to accept suggested information. For instance, if asked, "Is James friendly?" without any further context, studies show we're likely to perceive James as friendly because our minds automatically confirm the suggested idea. Both the halo effect and confirmation bias stem from our mind's desire to make swift judgments. However, this haste often results in errors due to insufficient data. Our minds rely on false suggestions and oversimplifications to fill in gaps in information, leading to potentially incorrect conclusions. Like priming, these cognitive phenomena occur without our conscious awareness and influence our choices, judgments, and actions. Part 4. Heuristics. How the mind uses shortcuts to make quick decisions. In many situations, we're required to make quick judgments, prompting our minds to employ shortcuts known as heuristics to swiftly assess our surroundings. While these processes are typically helpful, our tendency to overuse them can lead to errors. By examining two common types of heuristics, the substitution heuristic and the availability heuristic, we can better understand their nature and the mistakes they can induce. The substitution heuristic involves answering an easier question than the one initially posed. For instance, when asked about a candidate's potential success as sheriff, we may instead assess if the candidate fits our mental image of a good sheriff. Consequently, we may overlook crucial qualifications and experience, potentially rejecting a highly qualified candidate solely based on appearance. The availability heuristic occurs when we overestimate the likelihood of events we frequently hear about or easily remember. For example, despite strokes causing more deaths than accidents, a study found that 80% of respondents deemed accidental deaths more probable. This discrepancy arises from the media's focus on accidents, leading them to make a stronger impression and be more memorable. Consequently, we may misjudge risks, reacting disproportionately to more sensationalized dangers. Part 5. No head for numbers. Why we struggle to understand statistics and make avoidable mistakes because of it. Predicting whether certain events will occur can be effectively accomplished by keeping the base rate in mind. This refers to a statistical foundation upon which other statistics rely. For instance, consider a taxi company with 20% yellow cabs and 80% red cabs. Knowing these base rates allows for fairly accurate predictions about the color of a cab when ordering one. Despite the importance of considering the base rate in predictions, base rate neglect is prevalent. One reason for this neglect is our tendency to focus on expectations rather than probabilities. For example, if several red cabs pass by, one might start anticipating a yellow cab next. However, regardless of past observations, the probability of the next cab being red remains around 80%. a fact often overlooked due to our focus on expectations. Base rate neglect is just one aspect of the broader challenge of grappling with statistics. Another common error is forgetting that everything tends to regress to the mean. This principle acknowledges that all situations have an average status, with deviations eventually returning to that average. For instance, if a football striker who typically scores 5 goals per month achieves 10 goals in September, her coach may celebrate. However, if she resumes scoring around 5 goals per month afterward, her coach might criticize her for not sustaining her hot streak. In reality, this criticism is unwarranted as she is simply regressing to the mean. It looks like we've reached the halfway mark of our journey through the book, signaling the end of this part. If you're eager to dive into part 2 of our summary, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on new videos. Thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.